They end up talking for a while, after which they get caught up in the moment, and Angel is about to kiss Caden. However, he doesn't look interested, as he says he thinks all the adrenaline will get him to change to a werewolf, and he didn't want to hurt her. Despite that though, Angel doesn't seem to care, and they then have some quality time, even with both of them turning to wolves. When they return to the house, there are two men named Larson and Robinson inside. John introduces them to Caden, saying they were part of the old pack that first moved to the town. Both men are not convinced about having Caden around, as they still think Angel should give Connor a baby so there'd be peace. This then allows Caden to say that he'd go over to fight and kill Connor, and as he's going, John and Angel are unable to do so. When he gets to where Connor and his pack are, Caden tells Connor that Connor is his father, but Connor doesn't believe it and immediately asks that his pack chases and kills Caden. Soon after, Caden gets overpowered and beaten, just before he has to fall from a cliff to run away from Connor's pack. As he falls, Caden sees an image of Joe telling him to stand up, but it turns out he's only hallucinating, though it is enough to get him moving until he meets with Angel. The next morning, Caden is still heavily bruised, and he tells John that he tried not to kill any of them. John says it was a big mistake and he had to kill if he wanted to survive. He also then tells Caden that he needs to change to a werewolf so he can recover, as he's unable to do it on his own. John asks Angel to help him, and as she kisses him, he suddenly starts healing as he's turning. Caden and Angel then go outside, and she tells him that he needs to run so his legs can heal. Caden struggles to do this, but is then absolutely fine after running for a while. As he's not fully recovered, Caden tells Angel that he's going to fight Connor and his pack again, and this time, he'll make sure he kills them. With this, he gets an idea to plant explosives with the help of a formula developed by John, and with that they all get to work. When they're done, Caden then starts planting them across the field just outside the barn, and as he's doing it, he later tells Angel to get to a safe place and he'd come get her when he was through with Connor. Caden suddenly hears Angel's screams and goes to the house only to find out that Connor had taken Angel, Gail, John, and Clara, with a written note also telling Caden to come over to the mating ceremony between him and Angel. At the hill where Connor's pack are usually hanging out, John, Clara, and Gail are locked in a cage, and soon after, Angel is brought out of a tent, after which Connor says it was time for him to be with Angel, though she doesn't appreciate this. Just around the same time, two of Connor's men who are watching out for if Caden shows up are killed by Caden, after which he's right on time before Connor takes Angel away. Connor immediately asks that his men chase after Caden, but he happens to evade and beat up some of them just after he frees Angel and runs away so that he'd be followed by Connor and his men. Angel also turns into a werewolf, and then fights off a man before she frees John, Clara, and Gail, telling John he needed to go and help Caden. John is able to take a fast route to reach the barn and head to the top with a gun. Caden also manages to bring the whole pack to the field just outside the barn, and John then starts shooting the spots on the field with explosives, and some of Connor's men die in the process. Connor becomes really pissed, and immediately he sees Caden inside the barn. He doesn't hesitate to go in along with his pack, but again, Caden outsmarts them and locks them inside, after which he tells John to shoot the explosives on the walls of the barn. John does this, and parts of the barn explode, and as Caden is looking to see the damage, Connor jumps out still unharmed, and they then have to fight. Both men are able to beat each other at first. However, Caden is able to overpower Connor and leave him weak and bleeding. As he's about to finish the job, Connor tells Caden that he didn't force Lucinda and that they loved each other. Just as Caden is contemplating what to do, Joe appears behind him and then comes over to laugh at Connor for not being strong enough to beat Caden, and that he knew all along that it was the only way he'd be able to kill Connor after he had gotten Joe exiled from the town. Joe mentions that his brother, who he says is Carter, had been giving him info, and now he was back to finish the job. After tracking down Caden, killing his parents, and framing him to facilitate the whole fight. Caden is pissed to hear this, but as he tries to hit Joe, he's too weak, and Joe ends up hitting him instead. Just then, Connor tells Joe that he had killed and eaten Carter, and this is enough to make Joe kill him. He then goes on to face Caden, who he also manages to beat up until John is able to shoot him. Before John is able to take another shot, Joe tries to run away, but Caden is able to catch him, after which Joe tells him wolves were not supposed to kill unless for food or defense, as he lights a cigarette. As he's able to stand up, Caden cunningly takes the cigarette away from him and then throws it to the ground, where there surprisingly still seems to be an explosive. Joe then tries to taunt Caden, telling Caden to show what he's got, and well, it's too late before he realizes that there's an explosive right under where he's standing, and the fire from the cigarette had lit it up. Joe explodes and Caden is able to move away right in time to avoid getting killed by the explosion. The next day when Caden wakes up, he's in bed with Angel, and later that day, Caden ends up telling John that he's got to leave for Angel's sake, as she wanted to leave the town for a while. with Gail taking charge of the bar. John is disappointed, but he agrees with them. He then hands over a scroll with a family tree of the werewolf family, telling Caden it would be useful so he'd know when he meets any of the other wolves. Caden and Angel then say goodbye to John and Clara, and then Gail, as they head away from the town on Caden's bike. And that is how it ended. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.